want your health first. If you don't have your health, you don't have nothing else. And a lot of people that is for the giving to this first way or for not our lack.
Asking now, especially on page 6, they're talking about how can we tangibly say it's not best for the city, right? But in the process of getting that research, of even taking it to court costs money. And so you were talking about how there is a necessary monetary number. It's like you said, like around 100,000 that we need to have in order to keep this injunction going. And my whole statement is, where is that coming from? Let's say the organization puts up 10,000. When y'all asking from 90,000 in donations, that's us. That means you asking us for 90,000, which I'm not saying we shouldn't be able to rally behind and help organizations hit their number, but what I'm saying is like that's crazy to me when you're fighting for what what is best for the city, which is what you elected people for, that now we have to pay money to get their decisions that they made behind closed doors rectified in a way that reflects what's best for all of us. I don't know how that really makes sense to me. That's just me though. That's just me though.
Well, you know, it's a developing story, and we're gonna get some actual facts on it because it does sound alarming, but I believe there's a rhythm and rhyme to how when I say that, folks, that there is a clear rationale how that happened, but we need to become aware of it so we don't get overtaken by how can we afford it? I don't know, but I do know one thing: when you see a statistic that is talking about the rate of death that occurred. Look, it says black residents are dying at 3 times the rate as their white counterparts due to decades of federal and local policies that created racial, residential, educational segregation, and disinvestment in communities of color. And then and part of the illnesses that are happening in our community, we got a lot of plants. And nobody said nothing to you about what has come out of those plants over the years, what's dumped in the ground that some of those plants have left. And yet, we know that there's a lot of concern about that, and in some communities are looking at that. When you talk about Tonawanda Coke and what it's putting in the air, it wasn't just Tonawanda Coke, other companies and people are starting to look at it. I'm saying this that we in our community can't be bashful or shy about looking at things like that. When you hear a statistic like that, that means on every level where we've been underserved, we have to rise up. We already know about education. I saw something today about they're talking about the number of adults who are illiterate in our community. Mm-hmm. And I'm saying, what's going on? That shouldn't be. If there is some illiteracy, we should be capturing them. We ourselves. I'm gonna shut up. We got a call, so we're calling you on the air. Welcome.
Yeah, quick question. You know, you're talking about the health impact. I guess you're talking about the health impact of the current proposed activities. Is there anything about the health impact that it's had over the entire term of the 33 project from when they tore up Humboldt Parkway until now? Is there a long-term health impact?
Oh, I would say, yeah. Go ahead.
I don't think it is. I mean, you got to think back when you said it was first tore up. You got to realize we was in horses and buggies. You know, we wasn't in cars and all that type of new automobile
I'm going
stuff.
to hang up a listen because I can't hear too good.
Yes. So we were in horses and carriages when they first tore down made the 33. So you got to look at environmental, what has taken place now with cars and asbestos coming off the cars and things like that there. At one time, it was just, you know, that was there. So here we are today. Some of this stuff is data that we collecting now. And that's what a lot of folks is hurting. In the last, 60 years, Mr. Anderson?
Mm-hmm.
In the last 60 years, just data wasn't being collected like it is right now. So we have to understand where we want to start from and where we want to end at.
Yeah, and picking up on that data not being, in the past, if you got a community that don't say much about what's going on, you know, see something, say something. See, a lot of folks haven't said anything, been sick a long time. And while other movements were going on, raising up the issue, and they wouldn't say nothing out loud, but they might say, yeah, me too, I had one of them. And they don't think about the fact that when you have multiple problems like that, we need to look at what's the source, why. And we're only I'm going to say we in a whole lot of years haven't been looking in to how we are impacted by our environment.
Right.
We look at trying to build up things, make things look good, but we haven't been thinking about what is the impact. What is the impact of people just throwing garbage around in our communities? Mm-hmm. What is the impact of where we have a community that people think they can drive in and leave garbage? Nobody see nothing. Nobody seem to know nothing. What? How can we be so off guard on things that are so important to us? The health impact, I'm about to take it to another zone, is more than what we're hearing about the environment that we know. The health impact is ourself not sharing and speaking about things that impact us in a negative way, and sometimes not sharing the good stuff that could help somebody else either. I'm saying it's we. There's no cavalry coming to get us. And everybody is accountable for learning something to help make our community stay strong. You can't tell someone who's young what they ought to do and you not doing it. In fact, rather than tell them, I'd rather be modeling for them what we would hope they would do it. They would learn quicker that way than you telling them and not doing nothing. I'm just saying, community, look, we ain't got to get it together time now because we ain't got no love in the White House. And I don't care how many commercials or pictures you see where you got some folks talking about how good and Trump is better on this and all of that. Don't you be a fool. Don't be no fool. We in a real serious moment. And I was telling them before we came in the studio, this week in Congress, in a matter of 2 or 3 days, they're going to be voting on a bill, S-9495. That bill deals with being able to cut out nonprofits. So if you're doing anything of speaking on the social justice side for humanity, anything like that, if they deem that you're more or less supporting a terrorist-like behavior, you out. And they don't have to ask you. There's going to be all this activity that went on. You're talking about retribution. This is what that bill is going to allow to happen. And with this Mickey Mouse club, I'm only call it Mickey Mouse, the so-called cabinet, the White House cabinet, the cabinet that Trump is putting together with a bunch of criminal. And as the names were coming out, I thought about, all this, I don't know if you call it sci-fi and superheroes. It's like most of the comics I see, they're fighting those groups of villains. And it's like the good guys against the villains. And I'm saying,
So
folks,
that happening here too now. I mean,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that we're in the comic book, but in reality, we got a White House where he's appointing folks who are actually criminal, racist, and uncaring. Get ready for a bumpy ride, but you ain't just riding. You need to be on the side that we may be in a truck, but we're figuring out how to get this truck and make it work for us. We
So-
got to do some.
Ooh. So,
I'm not to go backwards, but I'm
Yeah.
gonna answer kind of to what he said. I don't know exactly the long-term health impacts of the 33 plan. I'm gonna use my empirical logic. When you replace trees and land with highway and cars, you're not making people healthier.
That's it.
When you're separating or designating part of the city or separating them from access to resource in other parts of the city, you're not making people healthier. Even if there are ways to cross the 33,
Yeah.
that is it's a barrier that separates those two halves of those two areas. And when people need access to resources, they need to be accessible everywhere. And part of that is transportation or the ability to walk around and make things accessible. So I'm saying that to say the long-term health impact is, yes, there are just the health of the air and the quality of cars driving through your area consistently. Yes, there is the aspect of, yes, there is people not speaking up about their health issues that creates even more smaller issues that lead to big ones. So there's multiple health issues that I think affect the 33 plan. And echo what Jim said, I think it now becomes so important that we take our own communities into consideration, that we take our own communities seriously to say, not until everybody's coughing their lungs out and dying. How can we be proactive about, this is the community that I want to live in. What resource, what information do I need to make this valuable to all of us? Because until we connect it to everybody, this is how we end up working on issues months later. Because in the months that they were setting up 33 plan, people were dealing with other issues, right? Life was happening. How can we make these health issues at the top of our bracket? Is going to come down to the information, making it immediately relevant, and then having a plan to be able to make these changes.
So you got to have more youth involved in this campaign, and that's the part that's been missing since day one. You know, most of the homes right now over there off of Humboldt Parkway, I'm just using that as an example, is mostly seniors that's living in their houses. Their grandchildren not coming by. It don't have the momentum that it really needs. The signage is now, as you ride down there, it has disappeared already. You know, we're not staying in a battlefield to make this awareness out there, and that's what's taking place. We get comfortable with an injunction, but yet you still got to go out here and recruit and get people, and then talk to, like Mr. Anderson said, these people that's being appointed to position. In Buffalo, New York, we have a lot of appointments of people from the legislation, from our mayor to all kind of things that's happening right now. And here we are. We're talking about D.C., but we got to talk about what's in our backyard. And right now, in 2025, we can have an election for a mayor. We have an interim mayor in place. Mr. Scanlon's in place now, Mayor Scanlon. But then there's other folks that want to get in this race. And here we go. Now, are they going to be for the people, or are they going to be through the process, what you were talking about, Mr. Anderson, the status quo, making decisions for us in our community? And we've been doing that for a long time here in Buffalo. So we already prepared for D.C. We've been doing this all the time. Every time we talk on this show, somebody being appointed to a position, no one knows who they are, and here it is, they're making decisions for us. And that's going to go down the line. So we have to be careful that and take care of home before we talk about D.C. And that's what I'm talking about on the stand.
And these folks who are getting elected and appointed are going to have to be accountable. I mean, it's not going to be that they're going to get to just do their clubhouse stuff. We're going to look to call them out and call them up. Not fussing at them, but they're supposed to be listening and understanding what people want and want to hear from them, and then they should talk. I don't know who they talk
And
to.
don't run from the station because, I see it all the time.
Yeah,
and I see
well.
mothers waiting to talk. But I see it all the time.
They don't like
They don't like
Austin.
to come
They
to the
love me.
station here, but yet still I see you on ABC and all them other stations, and then when they come right here to just talk and be honest, try to avoid us. Don't avoid the Jim Anderson show. We're not here to beat you up. We just want to get facts.
I'm gonna start keeping flowers here.
Keeping flowers. So this is my Jim. You made a very good point, and I think in honor of what Sheila says about this show being a shakeup, I think a real question we need to start talking about is a mindset shift. So we get mad on the foundation of this country, but it was built on people who are saying, like, we are entrepreneurs and we're not looking for grants and we're not looking for programs that can be for free. We need to start making investments in ourselves. And so the real question we need to start having, even when you think about some of the things that are happening with churches where they're 501c3s, but now they're opening up foundations, or there's leaders that have their own entities as LLCs. We are always playing checkers. We're not playing chess. And so the thing we can't control is the new administration. Right. What we can start to change is we need to stop saying, like, I'm reinstating a 501c3, but it is for a specific demographic, but it's not what I'm saying is going to be my livelihood. I met with some entrepreneurs last week, and they kept saying, oh, we want to apply for all these loans. Why would you get yourself in debt and you don't even have a generating or income generating plan to pay that loan back? Because they're going to want their money back, because what we're not looking at is what is the interest rate on that loan when your credit isn't great? What are you saying yes to, or what are you signing over as a result of you not being able to pay those loans back? Or even if they're unrestricted, do you know how quick you can like go through $20,000, $50,000, and they're not getting that kind of money? They're getting $5,000. You see, and tied to a program with expectations. And so I think that the conversations, if we want to start shaking it up, is stop saying what's the politician doing, what is the grant doing, what are we doing as a people, to go back to Austin of saying, what's bringing us together as a single focus, and saying, how do we start to reignite our communities where they're not grant based? They're saying, like the Jewish communities, you're good at doing hair, you're good at cutting hair, you're good at cooking food. So we need to come together so we can have a unique value proposition to this community, so we're not just sitting back, getting mad about what happens.
Exactly. I totally agree with it, because it's easy to let your emotions get you so upset that you yelling out. Your emotions need to get you upset enough to learn something that'll help progress you past some of the things you have. I mean, the simple thing you just said about hair, you could do that. You could do that within your community. You could let people know, hey, look, some of you on your block could do it with. You got young people on your block. You got elders on your block. I'm just saying there are ways to make some income,
some
and
legal money.
Yeah. And then I love that you mentioned about those people trying to get grants and contracts and loans. You got a requirement. You got to pay it back, and you better use it for what you got the loan for. And you get a grant, and that's not free money. You hear people all the time say, we could get a grant. That's a legit contract.
Right.
You can get it, but you got to do what you say you're going to do when you actually getting it.
Or when we go into these things and we are hairdressers, stop saying I just want to do hair, because you could get a contract with Roswell, right? If you know how to make a wig, you making a $200 wig, there might be a $2,000 wig because you have a contract with Roswell, and they know that you are the person who can do the nicest wigs for people as they're going through chemotherapy, right? Or I've been spending a lot of time in the hospital, right? We get mad about hospitals. How about we have a medical supply company and all we focus on is the replacement for what holds the toilet rolls, not even the toilet paper, but the toilet paper dispenser. You could be a multimillionaire just coming together with that. So we need to just come together and have some different conversations. We're at break, so let me stop talking.
All right, King Chad, I got it.
That's 30 minutes.
Over 100 million people around the world.
Because it's coming to Buffalo.
Yes. So I'm taking our kids today.
And now you can experience this breathtaking theatrical event and see why the New York Times declares there is.
But even with that, that's what I say. How are y'all doing that experience? Are you just taking them? So talk about the experience. What are you going to do?
Well, the experience part is basically first we go as a group, and then they get to meet Shays, how Shays ran first. How they, because I'm working with Brian Higgins, because he's not a director. Give them a tour of Shays, then they also will get to see the play, but to see how Shays run its operation. They're going for the LLCs and stuff like that. They're how to run a business, how to connect with folks that might get them in the line, because they got a piece next door to it, smaller piece that does theatrics.
Right.
So they're gonna see all that asset, there to making it work. So, because a couple of them is in that field.
So can I just challenge that experience? Because like I just read this book a few months ago, and I would say that it's great to see the operations, but when I say experience with young kids, like having that freedom of time. When I say experiences, wouldn't it be great if there was money so that they could all get a certain amount to get a new outfit, right? They go see the experience, or before the experience, they go somewhere in that vicinity and have a nice dinner,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And do things to get ourselves mindset on. We don't always have to be on the thinking of the working and the business, because I think as a culture, we don't know how to relax.
Yeah. But we did this. We just actually the play was called Injustice.
Right.
Injustice here. It cost me $100 per ticket. I took 15 kids. We actually came back from Syracuse doing the registering people to vote. They took an experience tour there. They left here, went down there. They ate and they came back, and then they went to see the play. And the experience they had, because they never really knew about W.E. Du Bois and things like that there. And it was like, whoa. So I had them do an essay about their experience for that whole week. And they wrote it up, and then...
Coming back. Yeah. He's trying to get your attention.
Hey, we're back, and I'm gonna ask King Shad play a little bit of, you know what I like, and I just, it's something about that beat that kind of like, and anyway, I'm getting carried away. But let me tell you, Latasha, I'm doing it on air, so everybody my witness.
Uh-oh.
I want you to plan to do a piece on LLCs, as well as 501c3. How getting them? People say I want that, and how to get it, guide us through.
Before we spend money on licensing businesses and starting 501c3s, I think we need to even take a step back and say, I just did a workshop last week for 9 entrepreneurs at no cost, because I try to give back when people have a need. And the big question was, what kind of business do you want? What do you want the business for? And am I just in the wrong job? Because everyone's not cut out to be an entrepreneur. You can make a good living, even in Buffalo. I've never had an entry-level job in Buffalo, and it wasn't because I knew somebody. One was in an ad in the paper, one was a thing online, and those were both great jobs. So I would say before we jump into business, getting into hustle mode, because I would even defer to Austin. He had a whole lot of years where he was trying to figure things out. And it wasn't until the last couple of years that he was able to say, okay, this is my value proposition. This is the type of work I wanted. So even when he did get a job with Northland, it was something that fit with his bigger picture. Okay. And so I would say we need to stop, because we got DBAs, we got LLCs, we got 501c3s that aren't still standing because we haven't filed our annual reports. Yeah. We got all these things, but I think we need to get back a couple steps and just understand what we were created for. And that's the kind of seminars that I'm like in a space of, because some of us are running around with businesses for years and haven't had a net profit ever.
And that's the other thing about this, that whole gathering of things that are in that corner of what we're saying, is that just because you start a business, you got some businesses, you don't come out right away zooming to the top. What would it say? Sometimes it take you 5 years. So you got to think about, as you say, what kind of business you want to go into, your preparations for going into it. It's a business plan. And I totally agree. And I do want, the reason I wanted you to talk also include in that the DBAs and the LLCs, the 501c3 is because people are talking about it like, oh, you gotta like this. I know that when you talk about it, you're talking about it in the flavor you just did. You were talking about, before you go run into that, here's what you need to check first, but also help people to understand what those are.
Because if you quit your job, let me be clear for those on the air. If you quit your job before you secure funding for some types of jobs and your money isn't right, meaning that your credit score isn't good, y'all better stop listening to these TikTokers that's going to get you in jail talking about this is the scam you do, go to this bank, get this credit card and do all these things, because most startups, even if you have a strong credit score, still is based on you. Even if you set up a S corp, a LLC, or whatever kind of corporation you set up, it's still based on you. So I think that, again, as a culture, we do things and we don't take the time to properly plan, or we want to quickly quit our jobs, which really hurts us and it doesn't help us. Now, maybe you need to change your job because the job you have right now isn't conducive or give you the flexibility or the experience for the business that you want. But we need to just stop jumping out here, hustle, 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 because you'll wind up hustling for years and you can't grow something because you can't grow alone. You need a team, whether it's online or just reputation from doing something so that you can set your business up properly. So that's what I would say is that Buffalo is a hard, in my opinion, is a hard city to do business in. If you do well here, you can do well anywhere. And that's not just my opinion. It's just the state of it's hard to do business the proper way here for a number of reasons. But you can make money and do what you need to do if you understand what that looks like for you. Like I tell people all the time, I keep using Austin, he's not responding, but like his choices as a single young person with no debt, no dependents, I can advise him totally different than I can somebody jumping off the drive saying, I got 3 kids, I'm a single mom, and I have a job, and I want to quit my job to go into business for myself, and I'm just believing God for the miracle. God is a God of order, and that's a purposeful pause.
So I'm hearing a lot of what
Yes.
with the LLCs. Right now, we have our youth going through the Buffalo Black Billions campaign with St. John's Baptist Church and Gethsemane Baptist Church with overseer Michael Chapman. Our youth is getting ready to go for the LLCs as well. Most of my youth that I talk to already have plans like Austin, entrepreneurship. I got a girl in our organization sell puppies. I'm like, she said, yeah, I make money. They all make money, but when it comes time to take this money and put it into a 501c3 or a 501c4, we have to be clear and know what direction they want to go. It's hard for kids to take their money and say, I want to put it here. You know what I'm saying? Because they believe in their money, they want to keep their money. They don't believe in just taking their money and starting off in the organization unless they've been trained. And I didn't know you were doing LLCs and things like that there.
So I don't help people with an LLC. What I'm saying is before you start any business or any type of entity, even for a young person, I personally wouldn't jump into like structuring businesses until I understood that hobby or that idea or that concept has been vetted.
Well, we have a young lady that came at this station. She helped us out with Juneteenth and all that there, and then she's a millionaire right now, and right here from WFO, the family. I can't remember her name, but she started a business with her family. They backed her, they helped her, and right now she's getting it in the right direction. When you walk into grocery stores, you see folks with braids and all that in their hair. Go ahead. You got something going, Mr. Andrew?
Yeah, we got Betty Jean and them live after court.
All the way to interviews that would reset about 150 president. So not a lot more. No, honestly, we have a difference.
We should try and reach Betty because I'm not sure where they at in this press conference, but they're doing a press conference right now at City Hall.
Is it at City Hall they doing a press conference?
I mean at County Hall. And if we can get Betty, maybe we can step aside. Yeah, this is something about our community. So much is going on, so much need that we have, but we have to calm down, relax, get focused, and just as Latasha was saying, the same way when we think about business, think about what kind of business you want to go into. And in this moment with so much going on, let's slow down. And think. Even if you're thinking about business and not sure, don't rush off. Let it run through your head a little bit. Think about the moment. How can you help in your community? What good is your business to you and your community? And think about that. Are you single or you got a family? You got a job and you think you can quit your job and do it? And don't be messing around trying to do your business on your job.
Do not do that because that's instant termination.
See,
because you stealing company time and resources.
Yeah.
And even when we go to these press conferences and we're talking to these political officials, sometimes we go there and we don't even have a clear agenda or ask. We're just there talking. And so when you're just talking, people can appease you and say, oh, yes, yes, yes. But like you don't even have a clear ask and make it easy for them to say yes to you. And that's why I keep saying, like, for young people, that's a great point in your life because anybody that is successful in business, if you put that value proposition of an ask for 10 minutes or 15 minutes, will give you that time as a young person to really ask them that. But when you get there, don't waste that opportunity. Go there clear and prepared to be coachable and open to learning.
Yeah, Willie Hutch Jones is he's been doing this for 40 years, serving the community and the youth. Willie Hutch Jones has a program with stuff that you're talking about, and he gets people to buy into it, not just the community, but organizations. And he usually does his programs for free. So he's celebrating 40 years of service. Stars of Irish Coalition has been around 20 years. Trial and tribulation. Asking for funding is the hardest part. You know what I'm saying? To go to someone and say, I need $10,000 or I need $40,000 to run this program. And all it is red tape. You got to have, bank. You got to have all the stuff in place in order to get these loans from the city or from the county. It's a struggle for anyone out here in this community not to rely on government to run the organization. And you talked about that earlier, Mr. Anderson. Things are getting ready to get shaken up and turned around. Those not-for-profit organizations won't be getting the opportunity to do it. Obama made it clear years ago, we're not duplicating services. And that's what seems to be a lot going on now, the duplicating of services that now the government is trying to cut back on.
They're going to be carrying on. The Northland, any reports? No, I ain't gonna put you on the spot. I'm gonna get you a box.
I'm getting all over the place.
Oh yeah, I got more reports. We added an auto tech program. We trying to fill it out. We're still over there offering trade opportunities. And one thing I'll say is this: everybody may not like necessarily a trade, but we talk about changing the conversation in our community. The biggest one is this: college isn't an end all be all.
Say
it
it.
isn't for everybody. That's right. And it's not because you can't make money or you can't learn that way. But if you learn with your hands, I'm not ashamed about it. I was decent in the classroom. I was terrible on the field or court. I was not an athlete. I could run. Yeah. I could run long. I was not an athlete. I'm saying that to say, how how many friends I knew were geniuses with their hands who felt like they were inadequate because they couldn't get 100% like me on the test. We all got our different strengths. So if you like learning with your hands and you want to make some good money, I got 22-year-olds buying houses with no student debt. That's what I'm offering. So I'm not selling nothing. Not really no update for you, but
no,
it's still making it happen.
Every time
billboards on Tupper. Yeah. We got billboards on. I think it might be a. Man, we got billboards. We got billboards around, and we trying to do radio ads too. And we in the Challenger. We took out an ad in there too. So we trying to be where the community is.
You must have made some noise, brother.
It's a journey. It's everybody. It's a collective effort because we have multiple people on outreach. We got people at different levels of leadership. So it's just us trying to be where the people are and be accessible. But I think the biggest thing, and this is reflected in everything we talked about, is we have to make it relevant and engaging to young people. When you're talking to young people about a business, help me explain why that's better for me than what I'm doing right now. Why that's better for me than just going to the street and getting money that way, the quick money that way. People don't want to be bad. Quick money has an appeal. You got to figure out what that is and help communicate and speak to that. And the question I have, which is not related to anything we just talked about at all, is this. We talk about, yes, we shouldn't worry about wait for a politician to save our community, and I get that. But politicians are going to be there. Yep. Government is going to be there. Absolutely. And we already have seen in our track record that I have not seen a politician that people have been unanimously like, man, he did his job to the utmost degree. Mm-hmm. And that's to be expected. Nobody's perfect. Jesus ain't coming back to run for office. Mm-hmm. What I'm saying is this. What does it look like for people to hold their leaders accountable? Help me understand as a young person. Yeah. Help me understand. What does that even look like? Is it rallies? Is it calling their office? Right. Is it? Because when we have certain people in the booth, Mr. Stewart, we had him. Uh-huh. Some people might have said that was a little aggressive. But is that what holding your leaders accountable looks like? And if it is, why is that more foreign to me than what we do, which is just be like, oh, it's great to meet you? Yeah. What does it look like to hold your leaders accountable? Because that's what I'm talking about. When we talk about checks and balances, I have never seen the people balance. And we make this whole system run. So you guys can maybe answer that in your perspective. What does it look like for people to hold their leaders accountable? Because I'm not really clear myself.
So what happened to us was me and Jim Anderson, and I was young like you then, and Mr. Anderson, we had homicides happening, 96 homicides in the city of Buffalo, over that limit in the city of Buffalo. We had a police department that wasn't doing the job. You know what I'm saying? We had administration that wasn't doing the job. It was Rocco Dino must go. We walked down Broadway. Shy was a little bit younger then. We walked down Broadway to City Hall, and we all spoke on that floor. And he had to resign from that position. And then we got some things done. Numbers started going down to where they are right now. And so those type of rallies, young brothers like yourself and young sisters like you know in our community, not seeing, okay, situations are happening, and they scared to rally up and say, let's stop going to City Hall first. Let's go on some blocks and rally, and then formulate some organizations like your grassroots, like your unity, like the group that's starting off with this 33 project. So now you can put people in there with these EDs and all that there that you got leverage on who's going to be looking like you, walking like you, and talking like you on that ballot. And that's what it takes, man. It takes a lot of that. But before we go there, we got some status quo people that's been in office for a long time dictating to us, and we scared to approach them. We shake their hand, and we scared to approach them. Or we become, quote, oh, the heck, I'm Murray. All he doing is making noise. No, I'm going to make noise and shake your hand anyway and say, do the job you need to do. Or guess what? We going to put somebody there that can do it.
So disruption.
Yes.
Disruption. Until you disrupt it, you're not going to get a change. So then what I'm saying is so like you said, it's the little stuff we do. It's the way that we approach these things. So then Scanlon isn't my mayor, he's the mayor, because I didn't elect you in. So you're not my mayor, you're the mayor. Is that what you're saying? We should be walking around saying, getting people rate charged up? Well, then we need to start moving from that perspective. We got to make it approachable to the average person, relevant today. But that's what I'm saying.
Like
I don't
Betty
see.
Jean Grant,
I don't see enough people disrupting. I see a lot of people appeasing, and so you get disenfranchised. You get disenfranchised with it.
And we had that problem when we had what's the name here, legislator. Remember, he was appointed. Dupree. He was appointed to that position. Dupree. And then the process was, okay, they made the decision and brought him in without coming to the community. Now we have an open position from April Basket is now Senator. Great, April Basket. Thank you for that. Now it's a void in that position. So guess who want to run? Betty is back. It's in the paper right now. People say, well, she's a little older, so what? It don't mean you can't get the job done. But she's back in that position. She was there from before. She's boots on the ground. She knows this community. So is the opportunity going to be there for her, or do they go with somebody they're going to point in there, or try to push through the system to the point that we don't get the right folks in there, and then we back to this table right here again making that noise?
There's a call. There's 2 calls now.
2 calls.
Okay, I'm not even going to. I'm going to wait. Hold my reply. I think we have 2 callers, and caller number 1, you should be on the air.
Caller, you on the air. Welcome.
Steve, I just wanted to add a little information to your question. And you were talking about leadership. We talked about holding electeds accountable. And I would like to put forth the premise that I think we have more control of. And as because the Black radio station, I think that the first thing that needs to happen is that we have to create a Black agenda. You can't hold people accountable for nothing that you never asked them to do. And if you don't know their morality and if you don't know what their goals are, it's like you playing the lotto. You scratch and hope that you win. We can't hold people accountable for nothing that we never sat down and agreed on. I think that the onus is on us.
Thank you.
Yeah, it is always on us.
You have a
One
Facebook.
book say prove the spirit.
You have a Facebook comment from James Payne. It says, "Does the African American community have a wide agenda?" Was that him that just called in?
That was Jomo.
Okay, and then it says, "I hear the companies. What is our approach to addressing the problem?"
James
I think that our approach should, first of all, if you know the issues that affect you, if you think that there is some relationship to the governance that happens over you, you need to make those issues known to them. And collectively, issues that affect us that we don't even know. Look at the people who talk about, oh man, I'm having this problem, who may live in the project. Man, that ceiling is crumbling and so. And they talk to another neighbor, they're having the same problem. There's a way to get addressing to that when your the housing authority that you have won't, that won't address it. Yeah. You can always bring your elected official in on it. They may not automatically be able to do something immediately, but you got to start making things known to them to give them a chance to say what they would or wouldn't do. The problem is that some of these folks who have been elected for a long time have, I don't want to say a habit of knowing how to avoid you to get around addressing what you ask. In fact, I would argue that in many of them, it's not the politician that you need to speak to, but if you speak to their office, they should be able to help you. Many of them don't even inform the members of their office on how to handle, they inform on how to shortstop. But if you call and ask for certain information, most of the time they cannot give it to you and they want to refer you somewhere else. I'm not mad if it's truly where it has to be referred, but they don't even speak on the issue. If you try to get a meeting with the council person, many times you will not get that meeting. Or you get on the list and you don't get to see them unless you're popular with them, then you may get in to see them. I'm just saying we got a crooked system and we have some good people operating in it, but they're going by the crooked policies that they use in the system. We got to shake it up. The conversation starts in the community, talking about it on air like this. If you have a problem, we need to understand what is the problem, because not everything goes to the elected. Some of it is among ourselves. We can fix it ourselves, but we don't share a lot. Why do you think that when we have a homicide, people got to go around begging people, did you see something, say something? And yet you can tell 100 friends of yours, oh man, you should have seen it. So-and-so had this. And yes. But we can't never talk when it's time to talk. Our problem is first, let's acknowledge where our failures are. We don't let a lot of people get by excusing themselves for being accountable. We should get mad at, when I say we should be upset with those who call themselves, well, I don't want to start nothing. Well, you're starting a long, continuing problems of trouble when you don't speak to the concerns that affect them. I know it's... If we can, yeah.
I know we only have a couple minutes left, but we've been rolling, but we did have another story we wanted to talk about in Buffalo, which was based around Officer Horn, and some of the jury being selected today. I didn't actually know about this story, and so I'm going to give my quick rendition just so anybody who's not on the same page can understand. Essentially, it was an officer who was standing up for what's right. And it's a big club of officers who don't like when officers go against the status quo, and she did. And so in retaliation and not liking what she was doing, let me not say use words that might have legal implications, in return to what she was doing, she got arrested. And her act that she was trying to prevent was someone who was already arrested, already in custody, shouldn't have to sit in cold snow. They should be treated like a human. Yeah. And as a result, now she has to go and fight to make sure that doing the right thing can be respected on the legal side as well, because they were, there's stuff happening. And so there's a jury selection happening today, and there's no official word, I don't think, but the word so far is that there might not even be anybody from the east side of Buffalo on the jury. Wow. At all. White snow. It's the first time this current judge is ever doing a case, and they have the chief prosecutor against her. And so you have a new judge, an experienced prosecutor, and a jury who might not even know what the east side of Buffalo looks like. I think we might have to discuss a little bit in the last couple of minutes on what you think, kind of, what does that even ring in your bell? Or what does that even ring in your mind?
Well, first, I mean, it's the first I'm hearing that it's going to trial. I've seen Carol a couple of times, and it's going to trial. Carol has been arrested a lot of times, and here it is when we in a crisis. What was that taking place in our community, and young person in snow, laying in snow, she stepped in. That's the human side in her. That's a homicide, and then anybody should go ahead and say that. And for it to go to trial, I'm like, come on. You know what I'm saying? What's going on here, Buffalo?
And they
What
said
is
she was
going on?
recording. And so the question I think has to be asked is this. That's why I was starting with that. What does people holding their leaders accountable look like? If recording now becomes the wrong thing to do, what are we supposed to do? If recording is the wrong thing to do, and that's an ex-officer, so she got, even though they don't, man, I like you that much, they know you more than they know me. So if they just did this for you and I was recording, what would have happened to me?
But you gotta look at, do they know you? Far as new officers don't really know her like that. I'm just saying, it's not just fame thing. You get what I'm saying? The officer might not have knew who she was during that situation, snow, whatever. So, you know, I mean, you identify yourself as who you are. It might have a little bit more leverage, but I don't know. So you can't say that they know her. You know what I'm saying? That's just one part of it, you know.
They overstep their, look, the classic thing with a lot of officers is they overstep their authority. You know, it's one thing to be carrying a gun and feeling like when I tell you to do something, you jump. That's kind of, sometimes some of them carry that attitude. I'm telling you,
It was a lot of looting going on. I was out there as a civilian.
Right.
It was looting going on. It was chaos in the city of Buffalo. And I'm telling you, I was out there. I was like down the street from where she was at. And it was chaos. I seen people not helping people going in stores carrying TVs, dude walking down the street with a gumball machine. It was chaos going on down there. And people were stuck, and we was helping people, and Carol was helping people, I was helping people. So if you wasn't out there, you really wouldn't know what really took place, because it was pure chaos going on. Snow blowing and all that.
I'll say this, right? Sounds like a crazy scenario.
Yeah.
That's probably very difficult for an officer to have to make a judgment in.
Mm-hmm.
But guess what? That's your responsibility when you put on a badge, because that's the profession that you chose. And so that's the responsibility that comes with the power that badge brings you. So yes, it's a tough decision. Yes, it's not fair to have to always be held up to the top or the best of the society, but that's what you chose when you put on that badge. That's what you chose as a public servant of my community. So it's a tough decision, but it's in the instance where you got to make the right one. And as much as I want to be, I get it. If I don't do my job, if I don't bring nobody into Northland, guess what? Austin gets fired. And that's just what it is. There's no gray in this. I want to give you gray. It's no gray in this. It's black or white. And if you do the wrong thing, you should not. Nobody should be penalized for reporting the wrong thing.
So how many character people you think gonna go and speak on her behalf?
Wrap up.
You know,
Yeah.
Well, we get to run and ready to cook some more, and it's time to go. It's time to go. Listen, we jumped around, but there's a lot going on, and listen, you already do the turkey giveaway?
Yeah, 23rd.
23rd, right here at the station.
No, it's gonna be.
It's gonna be a $9.95 Genesee from 12 to 2 o'clock. Yeah, $1.96. Get you a turkey. And save me a leg. Save me a leg or a breast or something.
Oh, you want it cooked?
Yeah, cook and leave it at the station if I ain't here. Thanks, Brother Shad. We not like them.